Welcome to this week's edition of From Ordinary to Extraordinary, episode number 7. I want to thank you for being here. I know we're going to give people a little bit of time to get in. Hopefully this new 11 a.m. Pacific Standard is working well for you. Give us feedback down below. Tell us if it's working, if it's a good time. I notice that a lot of people are watching after the fact, and that's okay too. And by the way, if you're watching after the fact, you're not able to join us live, then instead of scrolling through my Facebook feed, you can easily now, we just got it set up, now go to www.jamesray.com/live-cast. One more time, jamesray.com/live-cast. And all of the episodes From Ordinary to Extraordinary are there. You can find them easily and quickly. This show is where we talk about the psychology and the strategies of greatness, of mastery, of ultimate performance. And today, our topic is how to develop true confidence. You know, I'm going to promise you that your confidence is more important to your success, wealth, and fulfillment than your intelligence. True confidence, and I'm going to tell you what that really means. Let me tell you a couple stories first. Walt Disney. You ever heard of this guy? Walt Disney, before Mickey, Walt Disney went bankrupt twice. He was homeless. He was broke. His employees were leaving him because their checks were bouncing. Can you relate? A studio offered to give him a large sum of money to get him out of the hole. He needed it. But there was one caveat. It was a big one. The caveat was that they, the studio, would own all the rights to his animation. He told them to pound sand. Now, that's confidence. Sylvester Stallone, you heard of him? I think you have. Sylvester Stallone was shopping the Rocky script. He was broke. He was homeless. He was completely out of money. Someone offered him $300,000 for the Rocky script. He needed that money. He had just sold his dog, Butkus. You may have seen Butkus in the movie. Sold his dog for $50 the week prior or just shortly there before to buy groceries. That's how bad it was. I mean, he sold his dog. If you own a dog, are you willing to sell your dog for your dream? You got to be willing to do what it takes. They offered him $300,000 for the script, but they had one caveat. It was a big one. They said, hey, Stallone, we'll buy this script. We'll give you $300K, but you can't star in it. You're not going to be Rocky. He told them to pound sand. That's confidence. Your confidence is more important than your intelligence. Your confidence is what's going to drive you forward. Your confidence is what's going to make you stay the course. Your confidence is going to help you persevere. Your confidence is going to allow you to believe in yourself, to believe in your dream, to believe that you are here to accomplish your greatness. Very few people have that level of confidence. Let's talk about what it takes, because the first thing I want you to know is that confidence, true confidence, let me emphasize true confidence, is not arrogance. Arrogance is ignorance. Arrogance and ignorance are close cousins. They're almost the same thing, because arrogance is a lack of understanding of how the world and the universe works. True confidence is not arrogance. You know, when I was sitting in a 12 by 10 cell, I had a lot of time to think, a lot of time to contemplate. Actually, that was a great gift. You know, everything is what you make of it. You can't control your experience, your circumstances. What you can control is your experience of your circumstances. So I decided that I was going to contemplate my life. I decided that I was going to look back and realize what I had done well. I was going to realize what I could have done better. I was going to realize where I really screwed it up and dropped the ball. You know what I realized as I sit there in contemplation, in solitary confinement, in just me and God in 4 walls, is that as I look back across my life, all the things that I thought I had done, you know, my Inc. 500 company, we were inducted in 2009, my New York Times bestseller, hit the top of the charts in 3 days after its release. My appearances on Oprah, Larry King, Piers Morgan, you know, all the shows, Today's Show that I had been on, all the things that I thought I had done, I recognized in that contemplation that I hadn't really done them. They came to me. And what I recognize is that they came through me versus from me. Get the difference? It's a game changer if you really get it, and I hope that you will. All the great things that you have done, all the great things that you will do, have come through you versus from you. Because you see, there's a power operating in this universe. You know, even Einstein believed in God, one of the greatest minds that ever walked our planet. Call it God, call it universal intelligence, call it the quantum field, call it the plenum. You know, there's numerous names. It doesn't matter what you call it because it doesn't care. It's got bigger things to worry about than what some little carbon atom on a very small dot in this massive multiverse calls it. You with me? Come on, let's think. You know, it doesn't matter what you call it. Call it what you're comfortable with. You know, it is working through you. It is infinite. It has unlimited ability and capability. And it's looking always to come through the greatest vehicle and the greatest conduit that's open and available. Now, I know this sounds kind of mystical, but you know what? I'm a spiritual entrepreneur. And, you know, the spiritual part means I tap into inspiration. I live an inspired life. I understand there's a greater power operating, just like Einstein did, just like many other great minds have in this universe than we will ever understand. But the entrepreneur type, that's the spiritual part. The entrepreneur part of that, spiritual entrepreneur, means I got to be really practical too. So while this seems mystical, and it is to some degree, it's also very practical. This doesn't mean that we don't have to do anything. We do have to do something. You know, if you know anything about my work, you know I'm a huge advocate of hard work. I'm a huge advocate of leaving it all on the field. I'm a huge advocate of giving every single thing you've got, because if it doesn't cost you everything you have, it's probably not your quest. Think about that for a minute. Your true quest is going to cost you every single thing you have and then some. Because you are here to give it all. You are here in this lifetime to be used completely up when you leave. And if you don't leave used completely up, then you haven't done your job. You with me? I realized, you know, in that contemplation, in a 12 by 10, as I look back across my life and all the things I thought I had done, I'm going to challenge you to do the same. I hadn't really done them. They'd come to me. They'd come through me. I realized I had done 3 things. You're going to put these in your notes. I hope you're taking handwritten notes, by the way. You know, there is research to prove now that handwritten notes make you smarter. Typed notes make you stupider. Is that a word? They make you dumber. I think that is a word. Literally, I'm not kidding you. There's research that proves that there's a connectivity between the thumb and the brain. And when you write, it engages the right brain, which helps whole brain thinking. Anyway, put this in your notes. I realized I had done 3 things. Number 1, I had worked harder on myself than I had worked on anything else. Working on yourself is the biggest job you'll ever do. It's tough. It's tough. Developing your mindset, disciplining your mindset, developing your emotions, accessing your emotions, directing your emotions. Not suppressing, big difference. I'd worked harder on myself. I had studied, I'd understood, I had immersed myself. I had gone to the events, I had read the books, I had studied with the teachers, I had hired a coach, I had done everything that I could do to become the best me that I could possibly become. Work harder on your mindset than you do on your marketing. It will pay you multiples of hundreds of thousands of dollars more. The second thing I had done is I had focused solely on providing value to the world. to being a servant leader, to be able to provide value to every single person that I was privileged to interact with, including you. You know, my great wish today is that this that we're exploring here today is providing value to you. It's either giving you some new insight or it's reminding you of something that you already know, something maybe that you have forgotten, something maybe you know but you're not doing. All of us know more than we do. I also hope that it's going to provide value to everyone that you're connected to on Facebook, because I'm going to challenge you to share it. You know, when you share this, I go back and look at the notes and I do my best to answer everyone's comments and everyone's questions. And when I look at the shares, I always pull up who shared, and it does my heart glad, because you see, you are providing value to the world by taking things that impact you in a positive way and sharing them. And, you know, this grand thing we have called Facebook, this grand thing we have called the internet allows that to be done much more effortlessly, easy for me to say, and elegantly than ever before. Number one, I worked harder on myself than I did on anything else. Number two, I focused solely on providing value to the world. Number three, I made myself available for what was waiting and wanting to come through me. And I had the courage to act on it. You see, some of you now, you know who you are. You might be that individual that greatness is just waiting to come through you. You've done the prep work. You've studied. You've practiced. But you're waiting for, you know, all the ducks to get in a row. Let me promise you this. Ducks don't get in a row. They just don't. I had the courage to act upon it. I made myself available, and I had the courage to act, even when it scared the living shit out of me. And it will. It will. You know, next week we're going to talk about greatness. I'm not going to get ahead. Episode number 8, little insight. We're going to talk about what it takes to become great, but let me promise you that you're going to face great resistance. You're going to have to fight demons to pursue your greatness. And not many people are going to support you. You know, if you have 1, 2, or 3 people who really, truly believe in you and support you, you are blessed. Doesn't mean there's bad people in the world. I believe everyone is good. People do the best they can with what they have, but they can't support you because you represent the courage they don't have. And for them to support you in pursuing your greatness, it means that they have to admit they're not doing it. Does that make sense to you? I made myself available. You see, the greater the call, put this in your notes, the greater the call upon your genius. I love that word genius. It's a Latin word that means, translates as soul. S-O-U-L. Your higher self is your genius. If you remember me in The Secret, you know I talked about the genie. Genie is just an abbreviation of genius. You follow this? The greater the call upon your genius, your soul, the greater the resistance you will feel. Are you feeling it? Good. If you're feeling the resistance, good. Because that means the call is great. And the resistance job is to keep you stuck in the past. Your job is to not let it. Your job is not let it. You say most of us get caught up in our head, you know, and we do what cows do on their cud. You ever seen cows in the field chewing and chewing and chewing? You know, it's called rumination. We just run it over and over and over and over. Most people think they think. They're not thinking. They're just running the chatter. You getting this? Let me encourage you to go back and watch it again and again and again and again and again. 3 actions. 3 actions to develop true confidence. You ready? Put these in your notes. Number 1, trust the field. Remember, I know that sounds mystical, but I have, as a spiritual entrepreneur, I might And I've got to be very, very practical because, otherwise I'm not going to be able to run a business. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to build a hugely successful life. Trust the field. Put this in your notes. Have you noticed I want you to put almost everything in your notes? How is not your job. How you're going to do it is not your job. That's up to the field. Steve Jobs didn't know how to build Apple until it was done. Bill Gates didn't know how to build Microsoft until it was done. Walt Disney didn't know how to build Disney Corp until it was done. I didn't know how to build an Inc. 500 company until it was done. I know now because I've done it. But I didn't know when I started. How is not your job. Your job is what and why, and you have to trust the field. You have to trust that there's a power greater than you working through you as you become a greater conduit through study, understanding, application, immersion. You're just one new learning away from a breakthrough. You're just one new insight away from a total life transformation, from a total awakening. How is not your job. Something is working through you that is more powerful, get this, than anything life can throw at you. Trust the field. Number 2, start before you're ready. Fate favors the bold. Consistently, probably 95% at least of the people I work with are entrepreneurs. And consistently I find individuals, maybe you like me, know someone who is getting ready to get ready. If you're that person, you know who you are. You maybe have interacted with me on Facebook here. And you say, I got this big dream, James, I'm going to go for it. And I say, man, go for it. Go for it. Start before you're ready. Well, let me just think about it a little bit more. Let me just make sure and get my plan together. No, let me tell you something. Ducks don't get in a row and plans don't work. I'm not saying to be imprudent. No, I'm not going to encourage that at all. What I'm going to guarantee you is that your plan is not going to unfold the way you think it should. Your plan is not going to unfold the way you think it will. I'm not saying don't have a plan, but, if you're getting ready to get ready, I have one question for you. When would now be the time to go? Start before you're ready. You see, when you move forward in faith, trusting the field, when you act boldly, the gods look down in favor upon you. Fate favors the bold. Number 3, so trust the field, start before you're ready. Number 3, go all in. Go all in. I've already said to you, it's going to take everything you've got and more. I want to go to bed every single night completely tired, exhausted, tired yet inspired. Because I look back, one of my rituals every single night is look back across my day and say, what did I learn? What did I do well? What am I grateful for? Every day. I recapitulate my day. What did I learn? What did I do well? What could I have done better? What am I grateful for? Tired. Did I give it all? Did I leave it on the field? Am I exhausted? I'm exhausted. Good. That means I went all in. Become obsessed. You see, Mark Cuban, I like him. He's a billionaire. That's with a B. He's outspoken. I like people that are outspoken. He said, don't start a business unless it's an obsession. Here's the better part. I'm continuing to quote him. If you have a backup plan, it's not an obsession. You got to be obsessed. Obsession is only a bad thing when it's a bad obsession. When you're obsessed with something that limits you and holds you back, that's not a productive or empowering obsession. When you're obsessed in bringing your greatness to the world, when you're obsessed in becoming the best you that you can possibly become, when you're obsessed with providing value, when you're obsessed with becoming a greater conduit for spirit, God, infinite intelligence to work through you, That's a great obsession. It's only a bad obsession if it's a bad obsession. You know, I remember in 1992, I left AT&T. I was with AT&T School of Business. I left, and initially they had they were attempting to downsize the workforce. And so they came out with this plan, well, you can take a 2-year leave and you can have a guaranteed return. And while you're gone on the 2-year leave, you can go to school. We'll pay for the school. I thought, hey, this is a great opportunity for me to leap off and start my own business. I landed a contract with a subsidiary of AT&T. What I found out was if you work with any of AT&T, including the subsidiaries, while you're on that 2-year leave, then it voids the leave. So I had a tough decision to make. You know, I was either going to have to forego my safety net, forego my return potential in 2 years, or I was going to have to take a big leap of faith, trust the field. I went into my then boss's office and said, hey, I'm not going to take the leave. I'm going to quit. I'm going to quit. You see, I was obsessed. I was all in. Go for it. Give it everything you've got. All masters are obsessed. You know, Picasso was obsessed. Jobs was obsessed. Elon Musk is obsessed. You look at any of the greats. One of my heroes, Leonardo da Vinci, obsessed. All of them were obsessed with what they were doing. They had one thing, their one thing, their magnificent obsession that they were going to go after, and they were going all in. You know, balance is baloney. People want to talk about balance. You know, balance and mastery cannot coexist in the same place. You look at anyone who's masterful, they're not balanced. They're not balanced. You know, Robert Herjavec, I like this guy too. He says, if you want to be balanced, don't start a business. That's the truth. You got to go all in. Start before you're ready. Trust the field. Go all in. Have I given you some things to think about? Hey, put your comments down below. If you have further questions, put them down below. I really appreciate you being here. I really appreciate you sharing this with your world so that we can continue to build this community. And we will be back same time next week for the psychology and the strategies of how to move from ordinary to extraordinary. Hey, click the link. Here we have a link. My brand new Living on Purpose questionnaire it's brand new. It's just out. 10 questions that are going to give you a great assessment of where you are currently in your life. It's my gift to you. Take it, use it, learn, grow, become obsessed. Hope I've given you some things to think about. When you move forward boldly, the gods look down in favor upon you. If it doesn't take everything you've got, then it's not your quest. Until we speak again, stay awake, love life, and be epic.